So we do have a quiz tomorrow on solving equations, 1- and 2-step equations, and the hardest part is when you have fractions. So we have this practice quiz. It's almost identical to the actual quiz. On this video, in this class, we're going to be doing the odd ones, and then you guys could practice with the even ones. By the end of the day, you should have both odd and even. Just get on Edmodo so you could check your answers and so you could see the explanations, all right? So if you're wondering what the quiz is going to look like, it's going to look exactly like this. The only thing is, later on this day, I want to go in there, and maybe instead of the word twice, I want to change to 3 times. Or maybe instead of 3 less than, it'll be 5 less than. Or maybe instead of B minus 3, I'll put a B minus 5. It's going to be the same type, same quiz, just different values, all right? So if you understand the process right here, you should be able to do great on it. So number 1, it says twice x increased by the cube of n equals y. It's a lot of words, a lot of math. What does twice mean?
2 times 2.
Times 2, right? So when you say twice x, you're really saying 2 times x, twice x, right? Now it says increased by. What does that mean, increased by? Increased by? So like if I say I got $20, I want to increase it by 5. Now
You're adding by
right. So increase by means that you're going to be adding, right? So twice x increased by, that's a plus sign. The cube, so right here, the cube of n, what's the cube of n? How do you write that? N to the 3rd power, that's right. And then equals y. Equals y, equals y. So there's your equation. They don't even want you to, we're not solving, it's just write the equation. Translate each sentence into an equation. 2x plus n to the 3rd equals y. That would be your answer for number 1.
Do you have to put the dot?
You don't have to put the dot. 2x plus n to the 3rd equals y. That's the answer right there. Okay? So that's number 1. Again, we're going to be doing the odd ones on this video. Let's jump to number 3. 5 times the sum of P and Q is identical to 3 times D. Now, this one's a little more interesting because when they say the word sum, what does that mean? Addition, right? Sum means addition. Quotient means division. Difference means subtraction. Sum means addition. So when it says 5 times the sum, it's really saying 5 times the answer when you add 2 items together, all right? So let's begin with 5 times. We're going to put 5, and you could put a dot, but we need to say 5 times the sum of P and Q. So what does sum of P and Q mean? Add what? P and Q. So if I just put 5 times P, and let me do this in red, P plus Q, that's not going to cut it. That's wrong, okay? Because right there it says 5 times P and then plus Q. But yeah, we need parentheses to be able to do the sum of P and Q first. So there it is, 5 times the sum of P and Q. So the sum of P and Q has to go in parentheses. Do we understand that?
Yes.
You going to be able to do that on your own tomorrow's quiz? I'm just changing some letters, some numbers, everything else is the same. So 5 times the sum of P and Q is identical. What does that mean? Is identical to. Is identical to. What does that mean? Equals. So 5 parentheses, P plus Q in parentheses, close parentheses, equals 3 what? 3D. 3 times D, 3D. So there's your answer for number 3. Please watch this again so you could get this right on tomorrow's quiz. Moving to number 5, we're finally getting to the equations. All right, so again, the goal of solving any equations is to get y by itself on one side, and we have y on the left side of this equal sign. So let's get that by itself. I need to eliminate the minus 17. How do you get rid of something? Do the opposite, in this case, plus 17. If I add 17 right there, it's going to be off balance. Remember the equal sign? Yeah, so you got to... Exactly. You got to add to the other side the 17 also, then it gets balanced again. Okay? So, yeah, the negative 17 and the plus 17, that eliminates. The y is finally all by itself on the left side of the equal sign, and that is a 14. Negative 3 plus 17 is 14. You could use calculators, all right? So no excuses. Use the calculator. That's your answer. Y equals 14. If you wanted to double check it on your calculator, you could type in negative 17 plus, but instead of y, if you put 14 right there, negative 17 plus 14, hit equal on the calculator, it will give you that answer, negative 3. You've double checked it, you know you're absolutely right. Moving on to number 7. All right, where's my h at? On the left side of the equal sign or the right side? Right side. Now, before beginning anything, if you could do any math, do it, right?
Negative, there's a minus before the parentheses, so the h is to a positive.
Yeah, the minus negative has to change to a plus positive. So anytime you could do any math, even if I had like a 1 plus 6 right here, 1 plus 6, you could do that, change to a 7 if you had a 1 plus 6. Right here you have a minus negative, you could change it to a plus positive, so please do that. So what you really have here is 6. You don't need 2 plus signs, it's just 6 plus h equals 64. I want to get h by itself. Jessica, what do? If I want to get h by itself, what do? Subtract the 6. That'll cancel out. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. I will have a positive h equaling 58. Done. Moving on to number 9. Where's the v at? The left side or the right side? Samantha. Right side. Could I get it by itself? How do I get it by itself? Okay, now, Samantha, let me ask you this. What does this really say? It says 11. Does it say 11 plus v? It says times v. So how do you get rid of multiplying by 11? Dividing by 11, right? So we're going to divide by 11. It's going to cancel out. And what you do to one side, you do to the other to maintain the balance. So this v is going to come down. The equal sign comes down. V equals negative 3. And if you don't know, use a calculator. It'll tell you that it equals negative 3. Should we leave our answer like this? You could, but it's better if you write the v, v on the left side, the number on the right side. However you want. I won't mark it wrong. No, if you leave it negative 3 equals v, that's correct. That's fine. Let's move on. Number 11, doing the odd ones only. We finally have our first fraction. So, Angel, how do we get rid of a fraction? Is really a division problem, right? This really says, Angel, 2 divided by 7. So if you don't want this divided by 7, if you don't want this fraction, like wouldn't this be nice if it were just a regular 2 and then q? It'd be nice if it were 2q. So I'm going to get rid of that divided by 7 by doing the opposite, right? If there's a fire, turn it off with water. If there's a divided by 7, we're going to multiply by 7. So you're going to multiply by 7. Keep the balance by multiplying both sides by 7. The 7s cancel. Why? Because 7 divided by 7 is 1. What's left over? 2q equals, and negative 6 times 7 is negative 42. Calculator will help you with that if you need it. We need to get rid of that 2 in front of the q. Samantha, how do I get rid of that 2?
No, you divide it. 2.
You divide it. Why are we going to divide it? So you could get rid of what?
The q.
No, you want to leave it by itself.
Okay. So Samantha, what does this say? It says 2
times q.
Yeah, 2 times q. So you want to get rid of the multiplication, right? So how do you get rid of the multiplication? Using division. So that's why I put the division bar, which is really a fraction bar, divide by 2. And what you do to one side, do to the other side. The 2's cancel. Q equals negative 42 divided by positive 2 is negative 21. So q is negative 21. Moving on, number 13. Okay. Jahadri, what do you say about number 13?
I think you have to.
Oh, first of all, is this a nice looking equation or is it kind of ugly? It's kind of ugly. What makes it ugly?
Fraction.
The fraction. So it would be nice if this just said c minus 7 equals 3, right?
Yeah.
It'd be nice because all you do is plus 7 and you're done. So what we're trying to say here is that divided by 4 right here, it's messing us up. This fraction is messing us up. So how do I get rid of a fraction?
You have to multiply 4 by 2 the top and then 2 the bottom.
Yep. Multiply by 4. Put the 4 up here. Put 4 over here to keep the balance. The 4's cancel because 4 divided by 4 is 1. You have a c minus 7 left over equals 12. And now your final step, Angel?
Plus 7.
Plus 7. Plus 7. And you get c equals 19. Moving on, number 15. Now, if you're looking at this fraction and you want to get rid of the fraction, you could multiply by 7 to cancel it, multiply by 7, but then you'd get 56 right here. Then multiply by 7, you get 84, you get huge numbers, right?
Minus 8.
So minusing 8 is definitely the better move. Either way, you'll get the right answer, but it's better to stick with smaller numbers. And it's really easy to get rid of the plus 8 by doing a minus 8, right? And what you do to one side, you do to the other to maintain the balance. And what we do now is rewrite what we have left. We have a u divided by 7 equals 4. Yolanda, how would we get rid of that fraction right there? Say again? You multiply by 7 on both sides, right? The 7s cancel out. You're going to end up with u equals 28. There you go. And again, if you wanted to double check your answer, if you're not too sure about 28, get the calculator and put 28 right here, divided by 7. It'll give you an answer, then hit plus 8, and the answer should be 12. Moving on, number 17. Fun stuff. A bunch of fractions, right? The least common denominator. Now that, you know, the vocabulary there could be kind of confusing for some people because you hear the word least and you're thinking smallest, right? But the least common denominator, LCD, is really talking about the number that all three numbers could be changed to, right? So in other words, the least common denominator is not 2. Why not? Because 4 times what gives you 2? See, it doesn't work out. 8 times what gives you 2? No, it doesn't work out. So which number is the least number that all of them could be changed to? If you say 4, yeah, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 1 is 4, but what? 8 times what? It doesn't give you 4.
4 times 2 is 8, 4 times
Yeah,
1.
so 8 is the LCD, right? So 8 is the LCD. If you multiply everything by 8, it'll get rid of all three fractions at the same time. Check it out. Put a times 8 right there, a times 8 right there, a times 8 up there. Notice that I never write the 8s down here. It's always up here, because that way you have an 8 up on top divided by a 2 on the bottom. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and it's still up on top. 8 up on top divided by 4 on the bottom, that's going to be a 2 up on top left over. 8 divided by 8 is 1. It just cancels out. So what's our new equation going to be? It's going to be 4 times 1, which is 4 with a y, minus 2 times 3, that's 6, equals, the 8's canceled out, you just have a 1 left over. Plus 6, we end up with 4y equals 7. Final step. Divide by 4 to get rid of that multiplication of 4. And some of us are like, wait, I can't divide 7 by 4. So what? Just leave it like that. It's a fraction. It's all right to get fractions as answers. So y equals 7/4. Moving on to the last question, number 19. I like this one because it's a review question. Very simple, but yet you got to think about it. It says state all the following that give you the answer -3. So it might be one answer, it might be no answers, it might be all of them, right? So is this option, does this give you -3?
Yes.
Yes. Does this give you -3?
Yes.
Does this give you -3?
No. D does it.
Are we multiplying right here?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
And what is -1 times +3? It's -3.
I told you.
How about this one? Does this give you -3?
Yeah.
Are we multiplying?
Yeah. No, you're adding.
We're adding,
And there's a positive.
and it does give you a -3, right? Yeah, so in this case, all of them work. That's probably not going to be the case tomorrow, right? And that's it for this video with the odd ones. I'll do an even video later, and you guys will be able to check that out.